Monday, November 17th, 2014 is the regular meeting for the Board of Finance for November. First order of business is to approve the minutes from October 20th, 2014.
Point of order.
Who are we missing?
I think we need to see
Leah.
Bruce. Yes?
I move we see Bruce for Leah.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Meeting minutes from October 20th, 2014. Motion to approve.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 3, correspondence. I have none. Anybody else? Moving right along, visitor and public comments. Item 4. Anybody wish to be heard?
Vincent, I had some questions about the items that comprise the bonding proposed package. And specifically, my understanding, and hopefully the fire department will be able to provide a little more detail, but my understanding is that the breathing apparatus, which has a cost of $650,000, is actually eligible for a grant for $500,000 for the units themselves, and then the $150,000 in addition to that is for peripheral or augmenting equipment. I hope I get that right. But my question is, why aren't we then, and I understand that we have to first approve the purchase of the equipment so that we can then apply for the grant. But why aren't we at this point bonding at a maximum of $150,000 in anticipation of the $500,000 grant, which I understand is practically guaranteed? And if we're going to assume that we're going to get the $500,000 grant, then I think that we should therefore only appropriate that much for the purchase. Because if in fact I'm not going to get the $500,000 grant, I think that becomes a whole different decision. So my suggestion would be that the request be for, in the bonding package, for $150,000 at max towards this apparatus. The next thing I wanted to ask about was, with regard to the turf field, artificial turf field, is there an analysis done with just how much it will be saving us in maintenance costs, and at what point we have a break even? How long will it take to recoup the projected expense for the artificial turf? I think it would be helpful to just know that. And thirdly, with regard to the road repair capital projects, is all of that work scheduled to be done within the next calendar year? I'd just like to know if that's the case. Thank you.
Anybody else?
John Giannotti. I don't know if you guys read the minutes or anything of our selectmen's meeting. Now, Carol was there, obviously. I'm a sports person. I'm into the sports stuff. But I just think right now, and I'm not going to go deep into it, I just think twice about, us bonding another project, a turf field. I'd love to see it happen, and the concession stand, but I just don't think right now is the time until the school's finished and see what happens with the sewers. It could be, sewers might be another 20 years, who knows, but I think right now we should really think about it. Obviously, we need the fire stuff. As for Ben, I think they are applying for the grant, but it's not a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee. Obviously, they would have got the grant last year. But, and obvious for the roads, we need it. We have some roads that need some work, and I trust Pete on that. But I think right now, I think it's quite a luxury if we put another turf field in and spend anywhere near that on concession and locker rooms at this point. If things were better, economy, we had the money, sure, it'd be great to have that luxury, but I think right now, I think it's tough for the people to swallow. I wish it, it didn't even get to you guys last time, but, maybe it's better that the people speak, but I just want you guys to hear that.
Thank you. Anybody else want to be heard? Sir?
Just like to add to that, first of all, I'm not quite sure what the urgency of doing this 8 days before Christmas, while a referendum on a third of the people are out of town. As far as the fire department breathing apparatus is concerned, it's my understanding that the current apparatus was bought in 2002 and has a 15-year life, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not really sure what the urgency of replacing that is now, but I also would like to know if you are going to do this and you bond for $650,000 and they get a $500,000 grant, is that $500,000 just going to go back into the undesignated slush fund, or are you going to reduce the bond by that amount? If you're going to reduce the bond by that amount, then I think that's fine. If you're just going to put it into the undesignated fund, I would not be in favor of that. And I was at the meeting, and Carol and John both voted against the $1 million turf field. You've got one turf field. I don't know how many turf fields you need. But I just saw a report today, a lot of you may not have seen it, it's the long-range facilities plan from the schools that has a price tag of between $14 million and $89 million. So there's some other expenses that are coming along the line that you haven't even begun to consider, and this is not the time to be doing this particularly. So with that in mind, I hope you will think very carefully about these two items for bonding them right now in this way.
Anybody else? Public comments? Anybody want to be heard? Yes,
Sure.
sir.
My name is Craig Semple, 14 Brush Hill Road here in Clinton. Just want to talk a little bit about the turf field. The first turf field that we did at Indian River, I felt as though that a lot of people didn't realize that that was not going to be set up for football. And I went to the Beach and Rec department, and essentially when you do a turf field in a town, you're supposed to be all-inclusive. But you left out a very big piece. You left the football piece out. And in any town, essentially, when your football program is doing well and is heading in the right direction, it's great for your school. And when your school goes, your town goes. There's no question. I've been involved in 5 turf fields. It's what I do for a living. I'm an athletic director in the next town over. It's the single most important resource that we have in our school. We have 80% of our kids playing sports, and we couldn't do it without turf fields. And I think it's an invaluable resource in a town like Clinton. In order for us to compete with the best towns, our kids need to have the best fields. And as far as efficiencies go with the turf field, the data is there. Maintenance costs, the ability to rest other fields, and the ability for your kids to play at the best, in the best setting, in the safest setting, is all because you have a turf field. The time is right to do it. Bonding and interest rates are and it's a perfect alignment. So I'm in favor of opening it up to the community and presenting the facts about what the benefits of a turf field are versus some of the other things, because quite honestly, a lot of people that would want a turf field can't be here. And if it's put on the table appropriately, I think you'll have an outstanding, a tremendous amount of support for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pete and I, 14 Stonewall Lane. I too want to talk a little about the turf field bonding project. We have some more fields going with the new high school. And while at this point I don't know what the need really is, and I don't know whether I would vote yes or no if we were to go to referendum today. If I were on the Board of Finance, I wouldn't vote no, because I think that people are entitled in the town to have a discourse. Let's find out what the value of it is, whether we actually need it or not. But I just, philosophically, I always have a hard time when something's presented or approved by the Board of Finance to say, well, we know better than what the town thinks. So I think it's just fair to give the town an opportunity to have the discourse. Again, I don't know where I stand, I may be a yes or no on that. As far as, the argument about the economy, I'm not sure what measurements we're gonna look at when we're ever gonna say the economy is great. And we have low interest rates, and we have a GDP that's higher than any civilization in history. So I don't know that that's an argument, but I do think the town, I'd like to enter into a discourse about the particular field, and I think a referendum is a fair way and the most democratic way to do that. So I hope you guys would at least be willing to consider to move it forward to us.
Thank you. Anybody else want to be heard?
Right, can you just clarify, if you don't mind?
One and done, sir. One and done. Anybody else? No? All right, let's move on. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Fifth item is the police 75th committee appropriation request. Is there someone here to be heard on that?
I think you guys are all aware, this is the Clinton Police Department's 75th anniversary year. There's a committee that's been ongoing for too many months, I can tell you, for an event that's going to take place this Saturday evening in the town hall. The first year was 1939, this is 2014. Request, the event is a award ceremony indoor, talking about the police department, all the fun stuff that they've done, followed by a dinner at Reverend Appleby's house for badge holders, which are the current members of the department, spouses, retirees. It was an invite only. I don't know if the Board of Finance got invited. Jane was handling that part of it. So, you got invited? Did you check your drawers? Well, you should have been. I suggested it. So. Anyway, the group has raised through an ad book approximately $8,300. Total cost of the event would be close to $12,000. It was a request. Well, it could be a little more depending on the anticipated sales of some of the memorabilia. Request was $7,500 not to exceed from the select, and the selectmen approved $5,000 to go towards this. We contributed $14,500 to the $350. Hopefully we won't have to do this again for 25 years. I won't be alive for that. So, so the request is a $5,000 contribution not to exceed towards the event.
Questions, comments, anything? I mean, is this an event that's open to the public?
It's an invite only.
Invite only?
Invite only.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be all boards and commissions, so you should have gotten something, which Mrs. Welch is right across the driveway, so I can find out what's going on.
So what's the majority, is it invite only at somebody's house?
No, here.
Oh, here.
Well, this is actually, excuse me, this is open to the public, excuse me.
Oh.
The invite only is the Applebee's, because it's badge holders and their wives, and hopefully not me.
And what is the amount they're requesting?
$5,000.
For what?
Here they're gonna have beer, wine, some hors d'oeuvres during the award ceremony and the talking, and then they're having a dinner over at Applebee's up afterwards.
They requested 75.
They requested 75, and we cut it to 5,000.
We approved 5,000.
Right.
And what is the expected guest amount? I mean, how many people are coming to this?
They could have 250, they could fill the auditorium.
Oh,
Yeah.
250 people.
Could be up there, yeah.
Free wine.
Because we took chairs out today, so there's not a lot of seating.
So the thing up in the auditorium is open to the public.
Right.
And when is it?
Saturday?
This,
Mhm.
a couple days?
Yeah.
So what happens if you don't get a sign? Does it not happen?
Something's gonna happen. They're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna pay for the dinner at Applebee's afterwards, because what's coming here is getting paid for, so. Huh?
So,
Not taking money doesn't come to the town.
But so
the thing in Applebee's is not open to the public,
No.
but they want to use taxpayer money.
Well, we pay that, we get taxpayer money every year to the fire department to have a banquet, every year. This is once every 25 years, maybe.
I don't know, $5,000 seems like a big bright number for this.
To celebrate 75 years of a police department.
It should be
Really?
a celebration.
These guys go out and they risk their lives to keep us safe. I know they don't get shot at anything, but they are out there doing the stuff that nobody else wants to
What
do.
did they drink at Patron?
Well, I was gonna ask, is the breakout, like, are these for, is most of, do you have a breakout, like, what's for gifts and what's for food? Like,
There's no
is there
gifts. This is
no
just-
gifts for them?
The awards are paying
Just
for
food
it.
and.
Yeah, this is just hors d'oeuvres and drinks, and they have a video, they have a guy taking a photographer come in, and tables and chairs are rented from Taylor Rental, and
Does anybody have an idea how $75,000
Me.
is a reasonable number?
That's fine.
It's not a lot of money, we should look at what else we can do.
No, I know.
We're speaking Applebee's are here.
here.
We
One.
can't,
No,
What's this,
Well,
a
they
restaurant?
raised 8,300, they're looking for 75, they got 5 from the Board of Selectmen, Board of Selectmen sent it here, the motions to approve $5,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the $5,000 for the 75th anniversary of the police department.
Second.
No, can't make the motion.
Well, we had you on there, you temporarily made it. Lee, is you off again? Yeah. Okay. You can put my name in there.
All right, Tom made the motion, you got a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed? Abstentions?
Hope we see you there.
From contingency?
Hope we see you there.
You see this one?
We can talk.
Yep. No. Yeah.
They told me what I got. What reason?
Right, we're gonna just have that. We're the end of that here. All right, next item on the agenda is number 6, vote on a resolution recommending an appropriation and bond authorization in the maximum amount of $650,000 for fire department breathing apparatus. Everybody should have gotten a copy of the finance board resolution. I think we have the chief and the assistant chief here to talk about this. So why don't you just take us through, you heard the questions at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, so
I will address those as we go.
you can start pre-2002, the way you talked about it at the CDC.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So just to give a little background to everybody, this program's been ongoing since the 80s. Past Chief Neff did our largest SCBA replacement back in the 80s. And those units were replaced in early 2000.
Don't use acronyms. Tell them what it means.
Okay, sorry. The air packs that we wear to go into dangerous atmospheres, not necessarily just firefighting, but now we're getting into the hazardous materials and chemical, biological, all that wonderful stuff, that term Ebola that keeps floating around, it's out there. They have a 15-year life expectancy through OSHA, and the way that they have to be tested, the service life of the bottles. They're in their last 5-year life cycle now. The bottles are tested on a 5-year basis, and the actual breathing apparatus themselves are tested on a 2-year basis, every single component of them. The reasoning for a total replacement at the same time is so you don't get a division of the equipment amongst the ranks, where one individual is wearing one version and one's wearing another. On the safety aspect of it, everybody streamlined across the board. If there's an issue, somebody gets jammed up or we have to help them out, we all know, or we're all trained through muscle memory, the exact same components are in the same place on every unit. On the training side of it, again, I can simplify it. I have one training program for every single user that goes right down the line. It also comes into play in the areas when we deal with our mutual aid departments. We're all running similar versions of the same brand Right now, we are fit tested through OSHA to a different style masks than the departments around us. So technically and theoretically speaking, we can only wear our own versus if we were to share with somebody else. So it becomes an interesting situation there. This has been in the long-range plan. It's been a known item. We met with CEC this year, and it was on the ticket for a split funding in the, I believe, 15-16 and 16-17 plan. There was ample discussion at the CEC level this year, and it was moved on to the bonding commission as there was a package going out. We have met and spoken with the bond commission, or the committee, and it was kind of, we got in halfway through some of their meetings. So that's where you see the number of not to exceed 650,000, because we had to nail down an appointment with the vendor to vet all the pricing, which was submitted to you this evening. I'll ask for any specific questions at the end.
What was submitted this evening?
The price breakdown.
Okay.
To both answer Mr. Carr and Mr. Semino's questions, we've applied for the grant last year through the assistance to firefighters. On September 25th of this year, we received a letter that our grant request was not going to be funded for this year. We are currently,
Could you repeat that, please?
we submitted the grant last year through the assistance to firefighters for the bulk of this request. And on September 25th, we received a letter that said it would not be funded by AFG this year, assistance to firefighters. We're currently under revision now because the grant application period is open, and I believe it closes December 5th. Our narrative statements are out being reviewed and vetted by some other area chiefs and departments who have successfully received breathing apparatus grants in the past. So we hope that it'll come to fruition this year. And it's my understanding that through the bonding commission that you only actually bond what has to be spent. So if we were given the grant, we would only have to offset the cost of whatever the balance was of the request.
Or pay cash, depending on.
Can I stop you on the grant? I'm confused about, you were denied a grant and then you're reapplying. Is there a different scenario that you think you won't?
Yeah, they're gonna get me involved,
Denied again?
they're gonna get me involved in the beginning, not at the end, to work with our congressman. It usually helps when you're up front with your congressman, not waiting to the end of the process to make a false
And
statement.
is the timing the same then? Do you think you won't find out until next September?
It's very possible.
Right. But if you look at when this equipment will be actually acquired, it's 2017.
So what
So
happens?
if you find out in September, when you actually write that last check, that's whatever thousands of dollars less than you're gonna have to write that last check for based on what you actually get in the grant.
So we wouldn't actually be paying for it until 2018. Start paying.
In theory, what's in front of everybody tonight, if all of this, 100% of this was bonded, we would bond until 2018 anyway,
Then why have the referendum for it now?
because of the lead time.
Meeting.
Ordering, specing it, ordering, procuring it, the lead time.
And then what happens if the $500,000 grant comes through?
Then we-
We just,
You know, bonds.
we don't
So-
own it, we just take that off revenue.
Right.
Got it.
This is an authorization to spend the money.
Up to 650.
Right.
You can't put it in surplus, that's against the law. The authorization says we use the money for equipment,
Right.
and if they don't need to buy the equipment,
They don't borrow.
use it, you don't borrow.
It's like a school project.
Mm-hmm.
And your authorization is to spend 64,750 on a new school. But you don't bond $64 million, you bond what the offset of the reimbursement from the state is.
What do you do with your old stuff?
Yeah, turned in.
There's
The
no like,
the bottles have no,
buyback?
they have no use. Honestly, I don't know what the available buyback program is. If it's anything, it's gotta be minimal because it can't be used for service anymore. I don't know if it's good for industrial.
do they recycle any of the parts?
Do they ship it overseas?
They may.
Is there actually a
And the
buyback
baseball
program?
player exchange for.
I could find out for you.
I mean, it has metal value, right? I mean, it's
Penny pound.
There's really not much to these things.
stainless steel, though. People think stainless steel. Anyway,
To answer one further question that came as far as the money going into contingency if it were to come back, this has been done in the past when we dealt with the radio project. Brad was involved with that as well. We received this grant for our radio project, and we were able to apply our $324,000 grant to the multi-million-dollar project, but we had to submit to AFG, Assistant Firefighters Grant, specific invoices with the actual items that were purchased that lined up with the dollar amounts that were requested for that specific item in the grant. So it's not like it's just, you know, put in somewhere. You have to provide them documentation, and they have up to 3 years to audit you after.
So they pay for 40 of them, 35 of them, 30 of them, and then the town picks up the balance, so that's how.
Basically, the cost share for the size of our community, we're responsible for 5%, which over the price of that is.
The fire department came to capital committee and, you know, put in a request. It's in their plan. So, I mean, it's definitely something that's vulnerable. It has a 15-year lifespan. So we can borrow to buy this equipment for the fire department, or we can leave it in capital. You know, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I mean, if we're going out to bond, we can do it in one fell swoop, and we don't have to issue debt if we get a grant. So that's my understanding of it. Any other questions for Brian? No? Can we make a motion, somebody?
Well, I'd like a question maybe more of Lou.
Okay.
On the authorization itself, really, it speaks to an appropriation of $650,000, and this may be just argumentative, but should it not say not to exceed $650,000?
You can't spend more than what the authorizing resolution is regardless.
Okay, that's true.
These were prepared by bond counsel.
Yeah, and then we're refailing.
Okay.
Pulling it down.
Never mind.
Like, I'll make a motion. To appropriates,
Just approve the bond resolution.
All we have to do is approve the resolution.
all right, perfect, I'll do that.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion?
Just a point of order. Are you and Tom able to vote on this because you were on the bonding committee?
Yeah, they can vote, or it's an ad hoc committee. It's always been that way.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
You can't tell somebody they can't vote on it
Either,
either.
why wouldn't I be?
Well, I didn't know, that's why I'm asking, because it just seemed like your vote has already been cast by the fact that it's here.
Well, my vote is already cast when I approve the budget for the town. Does that mean I can't vote when it comes up to referendum?
No,
Okay.
no, that's the same side of the coin.
Wouldn't that be,
Well, another way to look at it is if we vote yes here, it goes to public hearing on December,
No,
it's a
town
public meeting,
Public information meeting December 3rd. It's not a public
December
hearing.
3rd,
There's no public hearing required. It goes to a town meeting, which automatically adjourns to referendum on it.
on questions of
Yeah.
Not to
appropriations.
decide.
Okay, so if we vote yes here, it doesn't mean that we're gonna vote yes at the referendum.
Oh, I'm very aware of that, I just wondered as a point of order.
You can't force anybody to abstain themselves or recuse. It's
Yeah, I
up
don't
to you.
think I
I'm
have-
getting confused too, because like the CEC, like we're
Right, CEC
finance
is all-
members on lots
right.
of committees. If you're saying that we can't be on a committee, then, or it might, if that's actually the rule, that might discourage a lot of.
Well, the
those
reasoning for
committees.
having Board of Finance is letting people on the committee so they vet this stuff out before it gets to the full boards.
That's right.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. All right, so any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item 7, vote on a resolution recommending an appropriation and bond authorization, the maximum amount of $4,200,000 for the road sidewalk bridge bulkhead repair project.
I think everybody's got a spreadsheet. That's our spreadsheet with the list of roads. Yeah, proposed roads, bridges,
I got it.
all that good stuff.
I got a whole epistle here.
It's hard to read, for American
Appreciate
So, this is the third installment of a multi-layered program. It's been going about every 4 years, authorizing monies towards our infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, bridges, drainage, etc. This is actually the first time really, other than Waterside Lane, really had any much of a bridge component in here. And that's because you really only see one in here, but there's 2 bridges that have 50% reduction in the ratings in the last 2 years, because they do them every 2 years now. I would say probably a lot of that's attributed to the storms that we've had with the flows. They're both over the Methungadees or whoever.
And who does those ratings?
They hire an independent engineer who goes out and does the ratings. Used to be annually, now it's every 2 years because of the budget cuts. Kelsey Town Bridge, which is in here because that's something that we had talked about that's probably gonna have to be triggered from a higher program, which would be a local bridge program, plus possibly, because it's gonna be much more costly. Carter Hill is in here. And then we have the ongoing bulkheads, which the state, with their infinite wisdom, I don't know how many years that's been going on, Pete, with the permitting.
Permitting in 3 years.
Which bulkheads?
North side of
Firehouse.
Firehouse side
Firehouse side.
and the parking lot side, both sides.
So the scrap, the stone stuff.
That would be easy.
What?
That would be easy.
That would be easy.
Oh,
No, they're talking about sheets and towing in sheets and
who was talking?
state of Connecticut.
Got it.
So what's happened is the permitting has taken so long now that's driven the cost up, so there's an additional $150,000 for the monies we already set aside in 2011 in this infrastructure package here.
Substantial design changes required. Did that take you up to the railroad bridge?
And the state of
You gotta
Connecticut,
go beyond that? No.
What?
the state of Connecticut gets to set, isn't that our river?
No.
It's Office of Wildlife, Sounds, Army Corps,
Army Corps of Engineers.
FEMA.
FEMA.
We don't own any water. We own Esser's Pond, but we can't do anything with it.
Everybody's gotta have their permit.
Do we?
I'm not sure.
I thought the Hessers on.
So, and just to, I mean, it's may not be our, this is a road study that was done in 2002. I was actually on the Public Works Commission when Ben Hagan did this road study. Now, we've been picking away at this. And if, you can see, the orange highlighted, look at all of, right? Now, those are the ones we've done.
Orange is done.
Orange is done.
What was the size of the first 2 installments as far as the price tag?
$2+ million and almost 3.
It's been about 5 minutes. Yeah.
So look at the orange numbers, the orange, there's not a lot of orange. This is ongoing, and we're still catching up.
So Pete, on these streets, so you're resurfacing, curving?
Yeah, I mean, there's all different kinds of treatments for the roads recommended. Some are resurfacing, some are actual complete restoration, which means a reclaiming and completely new road. And, I gave you what Willie, we've recommended to Willie, what has to be done on each road is actually listed on this form with probable unit costs and the amount of tonnage of asphalt, depending on what we're recommending.
And
that's
most of
where we
this
come up.
road work you do in-house, other than the bridge?
We
which
bid it out,
requires-
we did it.
You have to bid it out. We do some of
Bid
the
it
drainage.
out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We don't have the equipment.
Some of the drainage.
We do some of the drainage, we've done mostly all the drainage on these projects, but the paving and reclaiming and the asphalt work, we don't have the equipment nor the manpower to do that.
So it's a bidding process, you have to get.
You use a bidding process, so you can use state pricing. State bids it out for you, but sometimes you do better without going through state pricing.
And is there a time limit when this has to be completed?
It's the limit of whatever the bonding is. Usually they allow 4 to 5 years for this to be completed. I mean, to be honest with you, to answer the Vin's question, try to do this in 1 year would be, as long as you hire me 2 other people to work with me.
No,
I mean, no, but I mean, when you bid that,
I would be able to get around town.
on this type of stuff, it's 3 to 4 years.
There's 3 to 4 years on this project.
but when you bid it out, you said you have to complete the project.
Oh, yeah. Except for Salt's Point, we tell them they don't have to finish for at least a couple
Well,
of
you
years.
need to come back. I have water in my garage.
No.
No,
And estimated costs, if you look, you know, Pete's got some prices, and liquid asphalt is $85 a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, now, we all know the price of oil's come down. Hopefully it keeps going down. We may be able to add to this list.
I'll give you, for instance, the last bonding package, we started paving at $68 a ton
It was over 100.
in place, and the last job we finished was $115 a ton in
so
place.
all of this is bid out.
So it's all estimated,
All
and, yeah,
And these projects are outside of the other infrastructure repairs that you
absolutely,
do.
have nothing to do with that. No.
What's reclaiming?
Reclaiming is when you go in, you actually bring a machine in and grinds the road back up, totally, just pulverizes the asphalt, and then you use that to grade out and restructure the base for the road, and then you top it with 2 layers of asphalt to wind up with a brand new road at that point in time. As opposed to overlaying where you leave the existing road, you do a shim coat to take out the bumps and the variability in the road, and then you overlay that with 1.5 inches of fresh
And
asphalt.
you only can do asphalt certain months of the year, right?
Pardon me?
There's a limited amount of time for asphalt.
Yes,
You can't do it cold months or something.
no,
December, middle of December usually the plant's closed. That's why getting this going and getting a vote in December this was the driving factor. None of the other projects were as much of a driver as this because of the fact that in order, if it passes, get specs done up on the roads. There's gonna be engineering involved. We're gonna have to bring in either Jacobson, Tom Stevens, maybe multiple to spec these projects out, to get it out to bid so that you wanna get going in the spring. You want out to bid in the spring.
Those numbers are in here though.
That's all the soft costs are in this, sure. Traffic control, all that happy stuff. Because we have to pay our fines to sit in their cars out there.
And this is part of a plan that was first appropriated, like, or talked about in 2002. So this is like,
We think this study was done in 02. And nothing was done with this study until 2006, 7.
Well, you want it updated.
Well, we actually started implementing some of the stuff in 2007. So when we did our first couple $1 million.
$2 million.
And then 10, 11, we did another $2 or $3 million, and now here we are again. So.
a good solid lifespan for a road is, if you maintain it, is up to 25, maybe 30 years. If you maintain them, we haven't been maintaining them, so the road study that was done 12 years ago, you compounded your problem by that 12-year span, where really, we don't really maintain our roads. We do a lot of fix-ups, a lot of emergency patching, a lot of emergency stuff, but we don't maintain.
We know that's not true. Right?
So we've compounded the problem now, so, you know, you're gonna be playing catch-up for the foreseeable future.
There are roads in here, they said there's roads in the study that said do nothing.
Yes.
And now,
Now you need to do
In
something.
4 years.
13 years later, 12 years later, it needs something done.
They're gonna need something.
Right, so.
What do you say? It's health and safety, really.
Well, getting them to a point and then keeping the money in the budget on an annual basis to keep up with it is the key.
Well, the request is $500,000. This year.
We'll see. It's been going up a little bit every year, we've been moving up, but we're doing a good job with that.
There's no money from the state that we get for?
No, we get, was what we do. We get TARF money, they call it, it's not the old tariffs, TARF, that stuff. This is Town Aid Road money. The Town Aid Road money is based on your miles of road, paved roadway, and then in order to get the money, it's similar to the local capital improvement money. You have to submit what you actually spent to get that money. And I think the TARF money for this town is like $50,000, that's it.
And they deducted, when you have a hurricane, you have to do work on that road, they didn't deduct that money that they gave you
No hard.
from your 75%.
That's
So very good.
Yeah, because if you already done work on that
Because
road.
you already
yeah,
done work
yeah.
on that road. And if you didn't do work on that road, it's all your roads that are under that kind of.
Yeah, so we get a map just about every year from the states, and you still have these roads? Oh, yeah.
And then some.
Do you still have these roads?
Questions?
So, you run this, when
This
this,
is a public works program.
so you drive this bus?
Yes. Yeah. If I can ever get registered.
No, I just wondered, but we're back to.
It goes through Public Works. I mean, it's a collaborative effort, you know, I mean, I have to hire people to do different things, clearly.
Well, as you said, all of the work is done, not outside your,
The work is done outside of my crew, but that does not relieve the amount of work that goes through my office, or my secretary. I usually have to hire somebody to go out. And I can't be 10 places at once, so we usually hire a clerk to go out.
We do the clerk of the works deal, like we did with Bush for the building project. We, you know, our eyes and ears.
here you go.
A lot of requests from area.
Something else to
We
do.
did not, pretty soon.
Get out of the house here.
Bill Kraus asked me the other day for the school.
Any other questions about the spreadsheet or the Board of Finance resolution? You guys know the drill. I mean, need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the bond authorization for $14 million for both sidewalk
And again, this goes to town meeting,
Town meeting.
December 3rd,
December 10th is not.
December 10th.
Yeah, 3rd is
Nothing's
public
December.
information.
Oh, that's
Public
public
information.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
second.
Since they don't have a public hearing, I have a public information.
Okay. And you're gonna have the public
She
information,
seconded.
public information meeting here in this building?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the 10th, and then we adjourn referendum on the 17th. Okay. We have a first, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 8, appropriation and bond authorization of $1,600,000. The artificial turf renovation and facilities upgrade project.
Okay. I was hoping Mr. Potter would be here tonight, but he's not. He can speak to some of this stuff too. This is a facility upgrade at the Peters Complex. As you all know, 4 years ago we did a project in Indian River, which included upgrading of that facility to a turf field. In spite of some of the people who weren't crazy about it, it's worked out very well. The Peters Complex field is over 30 years old, so is the building that currently houses the concession and bathroom and all the, pretty much 90% of the utilities that come into that area for the complex. The intent is here to, instead of several things, instead of Park and Rec's ongoing pursuit on the Green Park Road property to create new fields because of the amount of use we have in town, which would cost millions of dollars, and to alleviate some of the pressure again on our natural fields, reduce some of maintenance costs, and provide more opportunities down the road, usage-wise, to upgrade this complex, put the turf field in, because we've seen the success at Indian River. And then the building itself, ADA, is not ADA compliant with its bathrooms. The concession stands not up to code, we're aware of. And there are no facilities for teams during halftime or breaks during the game, so that would be an upgrade to that facility. The potential here is and very confident on that potential, is a $500,000 grant to offset the cost of this from the state of Connecticut. So the net would be potentially $1.1 million. The field itself is $1.268 million, and the building is $321,000 on the estimated work that would have to be done to those two facilities.
Did you have the answers to these questions about the savings on the maintenance? I mean, are there any?
Well, I know is we spend $25,000 a year irrigating up there on an annual basis. $25,000.
On the
Field.
natural grass.
Yes, because it's a metered service, that is
So
gonna get
that's a
public
meter,
water.
it's not a well service.
It's not a well. The field and it's interesting, because yesterday as I'm standing there on the sideline of the chain, the line judge is saying to me, oh my God, this used to be such a nice field, and I didn't say a word to him. And then, I had my camouflage hat on, it was incognito over there, so I didn't know what it was. It's in bad shape. It would take quite a bit of work to get that back to where it was, and it's pocked up.
I was there yesterday too, kids was designing.
Yeah, it's pocked up, it's in bad shape.
I went there today.
You walked there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's in tough shape.
The only way you get it back into shape is to take it out of service all spring,
Strip the whole thing down.
strip it down, start over again. I think in the answer to your question, I could do a cost analysis of what it costs to maintain that field on an annual basis, paint it, mow it, fertilize it, aerate it, irrigate it, and give you that. But if you're really gonna compare costs, you have to look at the other fields when you look at that field. For instance, Indian River, before we built the turf field, well, actually the year we built it, we spent about $60,000 to renovate field 1. Because everything that couldn't be played on the turf was played on field 1, and the turf was out of service every time it rained for 3 days, it was a nightmare.
That was before we turfed it.
So you can play football?
Well, it used to be grass.
No.
No. So what happened when we put the turf field in service is that we were able to do on field 3, which was scheduled for the next major maintenance, my guys did about $1,000 worth of work to it, and it's in the best shape that it's ever been. It also took the pressure off of field 1, and it takes the pressure off the other field. So somehow, I think I probably come up with a way to fairly look at the impact that the turf field has on the peripheral fields, as opposed to just the field that you're building at that point in time. It does have a large impact on our ability to keep other fields in service longer, keep under better repair for a longer period of time, so.
But if this is the only place they play football, I don't see how you can rotate.
Well, no.
It's not the
sports, this will be striped for men's and women's
Maybe,
football.
yeah, more than just football.
And then I'll have an intermediate sized soccer field.
The turf field that I run,
Turf field, they can play lacrosse on that.
they do.
Right,
There's field hockey, lacrosse, soccer
right.
on that field.
Okay, but the only place to play football
Is that Peterson?
And really the only place to practice other than the.
Yeah, other than a very small practice field at the high school.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because my experience with the football program this past year is actually both Morgan and the youth football has achieved lots of success. And it was actually a little embarrassing to see like NBC News put a whole focus and piece together on the success of the Morgan team and actually highlight that they don't have a full-size field to practice on. That was number one. And then the second thing is I have a son who combined with Deep River, and that coach would not practice in Clinton, even though some of the parents were trying to get to share the ride, because there's no full-size field and you're sharing one field with like 4 other football teams. So there's definitely not enough fields in our town to practice on, and football, I think, kind of gets the short end of the stick sometimes.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that too. I remember I was very involved in the youth football in this town for 20, 25 years. At that time, Clinton, or the Shoreline Youth Conference, was roughly a shoreline league, probably had 12, 13 towns in it. I understand now they've got something like 20, 25 towns.
It's not shoreline anymore.
Right, they go to Newtown, Glastonbury, all over.
Simsbury.
I can remember, I was the scheduler for the league for about 8 years. I can remember that we had like a thing that you try to use every town's fields no more than maybe 4 weekends through the entire season. Well, I understand now that here, this year I was
Some Sundays were 4 games.
Yeah. On some Sundays, there's 4 games up there, and it's no longer just 4 weekends, it's 5 or 6 weekends.
Who's playing besides Clinton?
Play other teams.
Us, you, there is now a 5th grade team, a 6th grade team, a 7th, yeah.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
There's all kinds of
There's youth
teams.
football as well as high school.
Correct, and it's grown. And where that field used to only have 4 weekends with the youth, and then maybe 4 or 5 home games with Morgan, that field is really being used now.
Plus it goes to youth lacrosse as well in the spring,
Right.
who only has field 6 at Joel. really to practice on. And they're stuck over in the same field where the practice football field over there, same kids, same field. This would allow for practices. It allows for just continued use, which is, you know, some people would think when it rains out that they gotta go play soccer in the rain, but that's what you ask for. But, it's true.
Well, I hate to, be the cloud in the sky, but, we have this huge declining enrollment in this town. 60, 70 kids every year.
Not scores.
Well, but when I look,
They may not go to school here, but they're still living here.
when I look at what's on the table for health and safety and for capital projects and bonding projects, I can't in my heart feel that this is the appropriate time to spend $1.6 million on another field when we just, the Indian River was just completed and we're building a new high school with new fields. I can't buy into it. To me, we're creating debt, we're burdening the taxpayers too much.
But I appreciate the declining enrollment too, but I think, you guys know my position has always been, you build it and they will come, and, part of the declining enrollment could be a factor of the families are moving to other towns, and, again, going to some of these away games, we are one of the very few towns that don't play football on turf field, and it's an attractive thing when families are coming and actually other towns come and they play, and if they see a crappy field, and if they're looking to move, they won't move to Clinton. So it's like, what kind of vibrant town do we want to be? It's like, we are in the midst of investing so that we hope that, that it will pay off with families coming, which will then lead to businesses booming, which will lead to more tax revenue. I mean, I've always said it's a whole package of, we need business on Main Street, we need families to come in so that they can support those businesses. And that's part of it. The high school is
Spending $1 million on taking natural earth and making it plastic does not tell me
Well,
that people
I'll
are
also
going to
say
move
it is a little safety thing, because I saw a lot of sprained ankles, and so, there's a bit of safety.
You can get hurt very badly on turf fields as well. This is not the time for
No,
that
but
discussion.
in regards to that also, remember one of the first statements, and I was always a little, I don't know how you say it, ticked off or whatever. We pump a lot of water, no, we pump a lot of Connecticut water onto a field to make the grass grow. I mean, we have a well system up at Iron that keeps our grass green. But we are paying a lot of money and a lot of green resources, if you will, if you want to be a green person. You're throwing a lot of water onto a field to keep it green. That would be one thing, as Mr. Neff stated, would be eliminated. $25,000 a year of water.
Well, do you think people wouldn't go to Yale or Harvard or wherever because they don't have a plastic field?
Yale's putting in a turf field. That's part of the renovation of
But
Yale.
for the past.
I mean, they go to Yale before.
It's
That's
a
another
want,
reason.
it's not a need, that's my opinion. I think it's a lovely want, a wonderful want, but it's not a need. And we are drowning in debt. I mean, if you looked at what you sent to us,
I'll also say
I just cannot see swallowing this.
to the point of some of the speakers before too, though, that there are some projects that I think that come to us that people feel strongly about and that we should at least move it forward.
I agree with that, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we're not voting to spend the money right now.
Well,
We're
then
voting
why
to
even
move
bring it before this committee if we're not allowed to say no?
You can say,
But I
say no.
I want to make sure that everybody is aware of this, not unlike, unfortunately, unlike the other time, when we had 500 people vote on a huge.
That's why we're doing the public information.
9.6 million.
That was ridiculous.
Stan had a nice article in the paper today, I don't know if you saw it. He set the dates out, we're gonna have an interview with the Harbor News, we'll get stuff out.
To speak to what Peter said earlier about putting all the costs together, like how much money the savings are with the new turf field, I mean, that would be very helpful for the public at referendum,
We're part, the public information.
The public information piece of it. Because, I would never, without knowing, I don't know how I would vote in something like that without more.
Some of it would be pretty factual, some of it will be estimated, but I can put something together that explains it.
Yeah, I think that would be real helpful.
I don't think, please don't think you're gonna get a dollar for dollar.
No, I don't, and it wouldn't be put out like that, but it would be.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more that we have limited resources. We've got no business or industry moving into this town. The tax base is going down.
Keep trying.
Our
As long as
grand
we keep
list is
shooting
going
it
to go
down. I'm
down.
sorry.
And we are just burdening the taxpayers again and again and again. It's all very nice and sweet to sit here and smile and vote yes, but at the bottom line, somebody's reaching in their pocket and paying for it.
I actually keep hearing that the zoning board keeps voting it down. I mean, is this the appropriate time to talk about
No,
that?
no.
Yeah. And I even looked at the minutes and couldn't
Okay,
figure it
that's a
out. I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I better look at the minutes.
We'll talk.
Okay.
All right.
That's after meeting.
Any other questions or comments about this resolution?
My only comment is I really want to make sure that as many people possibly know about this, come and vote. Attend the public information meeting, attend the town meeting, and vote. It's embarrassing when 500 people made the decision on my $9 million project.
Yeah, I think it was like 672 or something.
Whatever it was, it's not enough, not when you got as many voters as we have.
Can we do a robocall?
And absentee ballots will be available per Secretary of State's office, or Sharon told me today, December 1st.
That's interesting.
So it'll be time for people to mail in requests and get them mailed.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the appropriation for the turf field,
The bonding resolution.
the binding resolution.
Any motion?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Number 9, end of year line item transfers, and can I get a motion to just, combine that with the finance director's report.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Are we motioning to table it?
No, we're going
All right.
All in favor?
I'm sorry.
Come on up.
He's like, because under the record.
Chair.
And you guys got a few requests. We're required every year to make sure there are no negative balances on any of our expenses. So a lot of this is you'll see some just cleanup work, trying to get some expense lines out of negative from different departments. Bottom line is, we're going to be requesting $64,343 from the fund balance. That is the amount of expenses went in the home.
Which one are we talking about? We want to talk about the smaller version first? and
We can talk about either one.
A small version.
I just had a question on, how did we get such a surplus in taxpayers' salary? I noticed that you're taking from it in several.
Oh, tax collector?
Yeah.
Because there was a change in the tax collector office.
Staffing.
The assistant tax collector, it went to Public Works, and a new person was hired.
Okay.
Is that the answer for, I mean, there's a lot of transfers into salary lines.
There were
And-
Yeah,
4
there's
union
staffing
contracts.
changes. And there's also staffing changes for finance.
Is the general answer to those staffing changes?
Assessors, all had staffing changes within the last year.
During the year? is
Yes,
it-
sir. Tom Clerk
There's
retired.
no salary at the beginning. so
Yeah,
that's
so
what
they
No, it's no
determine, you've got to pay them out, the amount that's due, and the time off they had and stuff like that, which we can't anticipate.
And we had the clerical union contract settled,
Okay.
which
That was
impacted.
after?
It was after the fiscal year started, after the budget was voted on. We had DPW contract settled after the fact, and we had our wonderful police department contract settled after the fact.
But don't we see transfers throughout the year? Like, what's the difference between?
Well, we didn't have a finance director, that's the problem, so we weren't getting the numbers run up.
But we have made a few transfers. Does this include the ones we've done already?
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't make
This
any
is the
transfers
bottom
to
line,
salary.
this is as of I got here, I took the numbers, what's in the system right now showing.
Okay, so some of these we've already approved, some,
This
No,
is-
we haven't.
this is
No,
all-
Exactly.
no, we haven't.
We never made an adjustment to any salary line item during the year,
no, but we
based on
did
contract
have
basis,
budget transfer.
Yes,
for other stuff.
Yeah. it's probably not as regularly as you should have.
So you think coming up, now that you're here,
I'm
we'll
gonna,
see
I'm
this?
gonna keep watching the numbers, yeah, we're not gonna learn it.
Just another question I had, is, under other general government, you have money going to hazardous waste and judgment losses coming from contingency. Did you include that in your reconciliation of contingency, that some of it does?
I did get that.
That's this fiscal year, 2 different years.
It would have been last year's.
That's last year.
Actually, we did get something from last year.
That's this year's contingency.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Did
you
we
would
have
see,
the-
you would have seen last year's, it's on one of the tabs, and it said budget deficit
What is that?
for 48,000,
She sent this, I printed this out.
So that's the amount that came out of contingency to cover some of these expenses.
I got it, okay.
And we did have 38,148 after we got to spend for the year, so she had plenty.
Okay,
If that was your question. There was enough in contingency to cover what you
okay. I just want to make sure you got it accounted for.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah.
it's on that sheet,
Got
yeah.
it.
300, sorry. Okay.
I mean, so you said you're asking for 64,343. I mean, so that means somebody overspent their budget.
Second, look at the second factor.
If you look at the one that's the town meeting.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where
Police
some
overtime.
of that took place?
Yeah. these are-
Police overtime, look at police overtime.
It's 125, I see it.
Got it.
There's some huge spending there. Go hand in hand with that, of course, if you go over in salaries, you go over in social security, that ended up 22,000.
Did they have enough in their budget to offset that?
No.
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 No, you can see the end of it.
Gina bounced around as much as she could.
Fringe, communications.
Landfill management,
Oh, here.
public works, road repair.
Poor Pete. He's losing,
Snow and ice.
he's
I
losing.
mean, look at contingency.
Yeah, snow and ice.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that number already, I was just trying to.
Which we knew. Todd came in monthly to tell us.
No,
Still, it's not.
That's not what, you know, I'm looking at the number and just saying, you know, you want to take it from fund balance, not from the 150,000.
There is no 150.
There was
That got
a
sucked in here?
There was $100,000 contingency.
100, okay.
And that's all used up.
So you used
Yeah.
48,000, so really the overspending was more like 100 and something thousand.
Oh, but if you want to say.
If you include the contingency.
Yeah,
Right.
include the contingency,
Right.
yes.
So the 64 you're talking about here is undesignated surplus, isn't it?
Correct.
Which will be, we have zero then.
Oh, God, no.
Get 1.8 million above the 4.6.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's like 6
It's
million.
got 6 million.
6.4 million.
1 million, what are you talking about?
And on the goods, I do have to say, I did look at revenue, and revenue came in way over this.
Let's get the final one. That's good to hear.
No, I want to hear this. I love your openness. What
I
about?
love that though.
For last year, I want to
I
say,
keep asking, where's the revenue? That's the one that always drives us, is the revenue.
it was roughly, this is before, mind you, because the auditors sometimes make adjustment for your taxes and stuff, and there's one contract only for Leslie, it was about 600,000.
And what was that a result of?
Um,
Higher than
number of
anticipated
things.
fees or
No.
tax
No, we
collections?
just- There was just some money that came in that we weren't
Our
expecting.
FEMA stuff.
FEMA
FEMA
money's
stuff
coming
came
in.
in, stuff like
Our water,
that.
and clean water
There
fund.
was a lot of state receipts that we
Okay.
got that we had been budgeting.
So you want to do these as a lump sum that has to go to town meeting versus?
Yeah, we approved the ones as is, and then the lump sum's gotta go to town meeting, it's a bigger one.
But I mean, there's really no choice, I mean, this is water under the bridge, there's no choice to vote.
Right,
This is
No,
not
no,
looking at something.
No,
that
no,
you
it's
know
just,
about.
right,
Okay.
but it still has to, that's that's why.
It's an acknowledgement, yes.
Here's what happened in the past when we had somebody every day here. During the course of the year, all right, we need to move money into the salary line, whether it's from contingency, which we cut in half.
I know.
More than half, it used to be 300 grand, now we're down to 100. So you move contingency into the salaries when a union contract was settled, it would offset that.
Okay.
And then towards the end of the year, you see where you're running with their overtime or something, you make an appropriation prior to. We just didn't have that. Guidance.
Keep that in mind.
The Janice one was closer than to mine than it was to James. Jane was $200 and something thousand. She said we needed to appropriate it. And I was like 70 something. I said, there's no way. And I'm not an accountant.
Okay, all right. Motion?
I'll move, I guess the easy one first, and the smaller one. We appropriate, this, we're under here.
That one you just have to approve the transfer that's
Transfer
presented.
should just happen.
As recommended
As recommended, all right, yeah.
by the finance
I
director.
move we approve the transfers as recommended by the finance director.
Do we have to say that?
Well, she got it.
She has it over there. I
I
mean, is there, technically, we should list them all.
That doesn't have to
And
be
I don't want to
town
do that.
No, we can incorporate that.
Yeah.
Okay, second, we have, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you.
And I guess we should also then move approval of line item transfers for the town meeting approval as presented by the finance director.
to include appropriation of 64,340 should be from undesignated.
Is that where it is? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to include $64,343 come from the undesignated fund balance.
Okay, we have a motion, second.
And it does go to
I'll
town meeting.
second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, go for town meeting. We can just keep on moving.
I was anxious to see that. What's they report?
Actually, I have a question on the, you gave us the report of the undesignated fund balance and the beginning balance of 6.7. Does that include the reference to the revenue surplus that you just,
If you
if
look
that is that
at,
in?
they each had tabs,
Oh,
that was last year,
okay.
and that's the balance brought forward, including
Projected.
what projected.
Okay, great.
Does that include the $3 of board debt surplus?
This doesn't include any of it.
No, does not.
When is the audit going to be delivered?
I actually talked to Leslie today. I sent her our last balance statement for our auditors. I asked her if she got the gas statement from the board of ed. She informed me that she had not.
All right.
I emailed Jack. Jack says he's been talking and working with Millman. As soon as we have that, I asked her, can you just give me a draft without that? I haven't heard back.
So,
Think we'll have it for December meeting?
yeah, because we're gonna, otherwise we're not gonna apply for extended, or.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
don't
take
want
for
to.
Yeah, but not apply, we just tell them we're gonna.
Right.
Can't we demand, maybe not demand, but insist?
What do you do, stand up?
So they're waiting for some information from the board. That's
Just waiting for their actuarial report on their purchasing.
I just don't shoot. We had to extend it last year, I wouldn't do that again.
No, we don't wait it out. So what I'm working with Leslie on is saying, Leslie, can you just send me the draft, you can start looking it over now without that, how do you want to budget, so you can get ball rolling.
I just don't want to see an extension.
I think that should be made,
Not one of them.
that should be made known to them that none of us want to see an
I
extension.
already let them know that we want to get a draft when we get this done, and it's going to go to all our agencies in the month.
Right, good.
So we have to self-report. We don't disclose when we go for the OS.
And there's no need.
We already have it.
And we also, today I sent out all the budgets to the departments, so.
I was just going to ask you that.
We're
ready to go.
We're ready to
Go.
go.
Requested them returning within 2 weeks of December 1st.
Okay. Nice. So then you're gonna start meeting in January?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know next month the CEC is gonna go through their final numbers, so that number will be ready to go. And then, February we'll do the budget workshop, so we'll figure that out when we do our scheduling next month.
I don't know, Jack's on.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
I started looking at our lovely meeting, the proposed regulations that you guys have, so it's been inputs from some other towns about some stuff that they're including, the question Board of Ed had regarding what should be considered part of their capital.
Yeah.
And I can reach out to a couple of the towns just looking into how they handle what is considered maintenance and what is considered capital.
Do other towns have like a specific and explicit definition of what a capital item is? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, most.
Carmel, we did have a policy on it.
You did?
What was considered capital, what was considered not.
And
And
that was,
actually, there was a $10,000 limit, and if any item wasn't over 10,000, it went into your regular operating budget.
Yeah, we're at, what, 7,500 now, which is low.
I mean, most of that document is the Madison
We took Madison.
policies. And we revised it and modified it and edited it. So it's time to do it again, because we have, there's parts in there that need to be
With
changed.
Rocky Hill,
Okay,
pulled some stuff out of Carmel and
so I'll give you a call then and we'll set up a meeting. Does anybody else want to go to that meeting with Janet? Okay. You want to go to accounting policies and procedures on it?
what is it?
Oh, we have to set it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll touch base with you and the first selectman and who else?
I'm here.
Someone from the Board of Ed or?
Yeah, we should.
What are you thinking? Within a couple of weeks?
Maybe before the December meeting.
Yeah.
I can email you an update and stuff.
I'm gonna be out of town for weeks too, but.
When?
Is it gonna impact this year's capital? Probably.
No.
2 weeks.
So maybe we should wait till after
First
this
11
manager
days.
someplace.
Okay.
January 1.
This week now.
So we'll wait till the new
more
year
time to
then.
get some more.
Right,
information.
right.
Okay.
We're also working on probably the resurrecting within hopefully the next month, our financial.
Software.
Yay.
You're ready to dive in?
There's two in our office.
Well, we spent
There's two in our
$300,000.
office that are ready to dive in. There's two that
And there's been
It's
discussion.
like buying a new car and parking it for
But
2
there-
years.
But there has been discussion that if you go for two separate databases, ours and the Board of Ed separate, that we can be up and running a lot quicker than they will.
How did we leave that?
Wait a minute, we bought that for everybody.
It's all the same
It's all the
stuff.
same stuff.
Same
Same
Different
stuff.
databases.
Is that a change though from what we had been expecting?
We only anticipate having one.
This is becoming like Crimea.
So, again, I think that's another one you probably gotta wait till after the new business manager gets in, which is why we,
No, that's a good idea.
you know,
But Sue and I have been talking about exactly where they left it, so we'll be resurrecting it, working through
It'll be fun. I don't envy you on that. Any other questions for our finance director?
I was just wondering about that
it.
little,
Yes, I changed it.
Okay. An accounting adjustment?
Yeah, originally when, in August, I looked at the meeting minutes when you'd taken out the money for, which kind of was a.
Esther's.
They didn't actually take that out of contingency instead of a separate line, they just started taking expenses out of contingency for it. I'm going to be setting up a separate line for it and pulling out of contingency, so it's very clear. So when you looked at your, what came out of contingency, it only showed the $500 actual expense and not the full amount of appropriation.
getting my desk.
right book.
The black book.
Anything else for
That
Jan?
one better get passed down.
Old business?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up the last meeting, where a lot of things were discussed briefly.
The last regular meeting?
No, you weren't here, the joint meetings.
Last Monday.
Right, after hearing about the, and it does have to do with your numbers, that the Board of Ed spent $250,000 on computers this year. I asked Dennis if there was an inventory or some kind of list of what actually physically was there, what was replaced. He doesn't have that or doesn't know about that. How is that controlled? How is that maintained? who is
They
the,
have their own IT person, their own IT department that's in charge of, just like the town has. We're on the schedule, that X amount of desktops get replaced on an annual basis, the servers get replaced on an, depending on whatever, there's a plan in place.
well, and that, but my question is, where is that information and how accessible is it to Board of
And it's just a matter
Finance?
of asking. I think it's a matter of asking, what is your plan? When he goes to capital, does the board give you a plan?
Well, for example, what did you buy for $250,000 in this fiscal year?
Do you have that?
No,
I
Dennis
don't.
doesn't, I asked Dennis.
No, I would say,
They give you a
what we're
number,
saying,
that's
the
it.
guy that runs the tech part can probably tell you all
Okay.
the computers that they have,
There you go.
what they've thrown away. And we should clarify the fact that, if you remember, they said that there wasn't 250 actually spent, because they had cut 102, was it, from the tech side, and a lot of it was computers first, so then they replaced a lot of that. When you add it all up and subtract and everything, it comes to like they probably spent about 150 or 160 on computers, like they had almost originally asked for.
No, but you said you had in their computer, you had already authorized them.
149.
Right, 149.
But they cut that
And they, right,
after
but they
the
took the
referendum.
surplus and added, I just wanted, you know, I don't care about paper clips. I want to know where the big money goes.
Right.
I would like to have an inventory. It seems practical to me. We know how many fire trucks we have, we know how many dump trucks we have.
Technology department,
Tech would tell you that man, what's his name, Russo?
I mean, this year's computer technology replacement is 16 desktops, 16 laptops, and 120 Chromebooks.
That's like $10,000.
It's 90 grand.
I don't know who they're buying the stuff from.
Probably the state list or.
Licenses, you
Anyway.
get the licenses, you
You
get
gotta
all that
license
stuff.
all the
It's not all
software.
computers either.
I know, but that's what I want to know.
There's servers in there, there's other stuff.
There's other stuff involved.
People ask me, I'm on the street.
We just did
How is
service.
this done?
I think Frank, what is that, you go talk to the IT director for the schools?
It's not
They had the
no.
information, well,
Chuck's got our side.
you gotta ask for it, that's all.
You should go ask Chuck. and
Chuck has
he'll tell you.
that stuff here.
Just request it. If they don't give it to you, then you can get nervous. But if you ask for it,
Good. Just don't want to smoke.
everybody should be able to produce an inventory.
Yeah, I mean, last year's request. Let's see. I don't know if I have the last year Board of Ed
People just don't want to take the time.
request.
That is,
That's what shit.
What's that?
last year's Board of Ed's $149,000 for,
They give a support sheet that tells us the number of computers that they're replacing.
They being
Board of Ed.
but the you being capital. Not-
Yeah,
not
they give
us.
us, well, yeah, and then
Yeah.
capital, you know how it works.
yeah, but he didn't.
Is this
Well, I mean-
72 desktops?
He probably didn't go looking for it, but he did get it, because I got it. You know, I'm just saying, though, I mean, it's like, the information, part of it isn't just sitting here and saying, I want this. You gotta go get it.
That's all, the question is, not, I want it, but where is it? How is it? How is the inventory?
I mean,
How is it inventory? That's all. Is there an inventory, where is it? That's all.
The thing that I saw that came out of Monday's meeting, last Monday's meeting, is that, there's a blurring of the lines of the fact that we have an elected Board of Education whose job it is to take care of that stuff. I mean, I don't like,
Except for maintenance.
well, I mean, town-owned property, I mean, we have a way of doing things under our charter and with the DPW. I mean, 8 years ago, before he was director,
Would have been
DPW didn't do anything.
Right. Would have been no-brainer.
Board of Ed did everything and they contracted out. I mean, things have changed and we've saved money on those items. But I mean, the thing that I saw by having all the boards around was that I think that some people don't necessarily recognize, where the boundaries are.
Right.
I mean, there's a bunch of people who got elected to, be on the Board of Ed.
We can control the bottom line against those.
When,
And it's up to them what they do with it.
I'll say it in a more artful way, we need to be more collegial and more honey versus vinegar from our demands. I think it needs to be more of a collaborative process, necessarily through the finance director, versus getting into the situation where we draw a line in the sand and then they don't tell us anything. And they don't have to.
And that's just been recent history. The previous history
And I think
is
a
not
lot
that.
of it is,
It was inartfully communicated to us.
correct. And I think part of that is not having a business manager slash finance director.
No, it is.
The line of communication, a lot of that came through that position. Now, hopefully, and I think it will with Janet, and when the business manager starts, that'll develop again, because the numbers, they gotta know the numbers between them. And that's where it starts.
And Janet can also.
Janet is the head finance director.
There is none other.
Yeah, that's her.
You're the
I'm
head.
the only one.
She reports to herself.
The Board of Ed's finance director reports to you.
I get.
But it will be. That's.
They have to work collaboratively, but ultimately, the finances of the town and Board of Ed are compiled by the finance director.
I put all the information together, they don't report.
For the outside accounting.
But she's not gonna be reports. The business manager reports to the board that they hire.
I mean, a lot of these questions are Board of Ed questions. It's not the superintendent, it's the Board of Ed.
Right, but they don't seem to be voting on these things. It seems to be somebody else is driving the bus, so.
That's why we have elections every couple of years.
That's worrisome.
Listen, Ona, I will agree with you about this. I sit at the CEC meetings, and Dennis knows this, and I go crazy that it's all town employees doing all of the presentations, thank you.
The heavy lifting.
I asked, Mr. Neff, it's like, so did you bring this past the DPW commission? He named them all and said absolutely, and they voted on it, but none of them show up. And that's an elected commission.
Right.
Appointed commission.
Supervise the police budget, not the commission.
So, we're the ones actually listening to the presentations, and then we go out in front of the town meeting and we tell them all of this stuff. And that's why we had that meeting last Monday, was because we don't want to be sitting out in front of the town meeting at a public hearing in April saying, I don't know if it was 694,000 or 188,000, and I don't want to do that. So I agree with you that we definitely need to improve the communication, but I don't want to step on the Board of Ed toes. They have a job to do, just like we have one to do.
I'm not stepping on anybody's toes.
It's just, I just want to make sure that we're having a conversation. Asking where they spent $100,000 out of a $32 million budget is.
We're all completely clear on the maintenance department now, right?
Yeah. We don't find it. All right, new business? Any new business? All right, so next month, by the time we have our meeting, is it right around the same time as we're
It's the 15th, I think.
So 2 days before.
All right, so our referendum will be 2 days before. We'll set our schedule for next year.
Hopefully we'll have a financials.
Hopefully, we'll see. And then we're going to do our elections and set our schedule for the budget season. Okay? Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Is that, whose phone is that?